It is now 5 p.m. on Tuesday, September 23rd, 2025. This meeting of the Clean Independent School District Board of Trustees is now called to order. The following trustees are present and participating: Brenda Adams, Secretary; Tina Capito, Board Member; Rodney Gilchrist, Board Member; and me, Brett Williams, President and Presiding Officer. Absent and not participating in this meeting is Board Vice President Susan Jones, Board Member Marvin Rainwater, and Board Member Oliver Mintz. I stand corrected. The following trustees are present and participating: Brenda Adams, Secretary; Marvin Rainwater, Board Member; Tina Capito, Board Member; Rodney Gilchrist, Board Member; and me, Brett Williams, President and Presiding Officer. Absent and not participating is Board Vice President Susan Jones and Board Member Oliver Mintz. For the record, a quorum has been established and is present.
There was a big accident.
The lights are out.
Fire lights are out.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Susan's out. She's out today, yes, sir. The board will now, let me do some house cleaning first. For the record, agenda item, Madam Secretary is going to make sure I stay in order. Agenda item 7B, discussion of superintendent search process, is allowed by Texas Government Code 551.074. We will not discuss that on this evening. Agenda item 7C, discussion regarding duties of interim superintendent, as allowed by Texas Government Code 551.074, will not be discussed on this evening. Now we're going to go to agenda item number 2, public forum. And for the public's clarification, with our 5 p.m. start, we are going to do a public forum at 5 p.m. We'll go into a closed session, but when we come back at 6 p.m., we will offer public forum again for any of our citizens who were not able to be here at 5 o'clock, so we do not want to inconvenience them. So public forum, the board will now hear comments from those who signed up to speak. Per board policy, each public comment is limited to 3 minutes. I'll ask the audience to please refrain from any public outbursts and to maintain decorum. Parents, employees, and citizens are encouraged to utilize the district's grievance process to the fullest extent possible. Related policies are available on the district's website or upon request. First signed up to speak, we have Philip Buckler. Did I say that name right, sir? Yes. Welcome. No, we're going to support you real quick. Someone's going to come push that button to make that light turn green. So
Roger.
There you go.
That's what was, gotcha. So I'm here tonight to voice another parental complaint objection to the current clear backpack policy. More than that, however, I'm here to propose a positive addition to the current policy as it stands. My proposal is that this board provide a path for parents to request and administrators or educators at the school level to approve exceptions to policy, at least for students with no history of violent disciplinary infractions. At its core, the clear backpack policy has far too much in common with the COVID mask mandates, that most recent, supposedly trivial imposition in the name of safety. Like the mask mandates, the clear backpack policy implicitly presumes that every student is a potentially fatal threat to everyone else until proven otherwise, and demands the highly invasive performative act of wearing a specific item. The item supposedly decreases the threat the student may pose to anyone and reassures viewers. In reality, of course, it reaffirms the fact that the student is an ongoing threat, one whose belongings must be carefully controlled and visually monitored at all times. I am utterly dismayed that the mentality underlying compulsory masking is manifested again in this guise. Far from making our students safer, this policy advertises far and wide both an ongoing lack of safety and a tendency towards knee-jerk reactions at the administrative level. Students are not prisoners, and our students do not deserve to be treated as perpetual suspects or convicted offenders on probation. Justification for such an invasive search of every student's belongings cannot exist and does not exist for every student at all times in all places as presumed by this policy. I do not believe the board fully grasps just how intensely onerous and unpopular this policy is. Is there a single person in this room who would not vehemently object if the TSA suddenly decided to mandate that all airplane carry-ons had to be transparent? If we would not have this done unto ourselves occasionally when traveling, then why on earth would we even consider, much less implement, doing the same thing but worse to our children and students throughout the school day? All it would take to substantially fix this and drain a great deal of festering ill will in the process would be a single sentence addition to the policy, something to the effect that upon parental request, school safety specialists or administrators shall approve exceptions to policy for students with no history of violent disciplinary infractions. I respectfully urge you, the board, to seriously consider and ideally implement either this policy or a similar one that would have the same final net result of restoring this basic modicum, this baseline modicum of student dignity and privacy. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you. Next, we have Laura Gregory. Welcome.
I'm Laura Gregory. I live in Harker Heights. Good evening, everyone. I began teaching in the KISD in 1992 and was hired as a librarian in 2000. During my time with the district, I have seen how the lack of a district-level library coordinator has cost the district and librarians time and money, and more importantly, how it has affected our programs for students. In 1999, the Texas Controller's Office conducted a performance review of the Killeen ISD. The reviewers concluded that a full-time leader with the appropriate education and experience was needed and recommended the creation of a coordinator of library media services for the 2000-2001 school year. The guidance and health departments had similar concerns, and the Office of Coordinator for Guidance and Health Services was also recommended. A progress report in 2001 noted that the district had hired a full-time coordinator for guidance and counseling services, a half-time coordinator for health services, and that the administrators intended to recommend the hiring of a coordinator of library media services in the future. We are still waiting. For decades, the lack of a certified library coordinator has led to costly, underinformed decisions, delayed actions, and outdated or unfollowed policies and procedures. It has made library services less efficient and effective for staff and students. A recent example is the decision to purchase on-shelf without enabling and testing the additional free features to comply with Senate Bill 13, available in Destiny, the library management system used in the KISD since 2009. Using the free features in Destiny to comply with Senate Bill 13 would likely have been a smooth transition with little, if any, increase in our workload. The on-shelf implementation was rushed, training was minimal, some of the functions still do not work, and many of the questions librarians have asked about the use of the program are still unanswered. Adding material records and checking each item out in two separate systems is redundant and doubles the time we spend circulating materials throughout the day. The recommended two-device circulation setup is costly and cumbersome. On my campus, we have had to send more students away without books to get them to class on time. Turning on the free features in Destiny would have allowed librarians and technology services to properly test and compare the two systems, ensuring the best decision was made for librarians, our students, their families, and the budget. A certified school library coordinator would bring critical expertise to the KISD library program. This person could serve as a vital liaison with the administration, curriculum department, technology services, and legal counsel as we continue to implement the requirement of Senate Bill 13 and any future changes. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you. Okay, we'll now move to closed session. The public forum, I will not close public forum, as I stated earlier, as we will come back to public forum after the meeting reconvenes at 6 p.m. So the closed session items that we are going to call for this period of time is going to be 3B, discussion of personnel matters, as outlined by 551.074. And then we are going to call agenda item 7A pursuant to sections 551.071 and 551.0821 for attorney consultation regarding pending or contemplated litigation and personally identifiable student information, including but not limited to the discussion of proposed settlement agreements concerning Texas Education Agency docket number 280 SE 0525 and Texas Education Agency docket number 075 DM 0425. Also, agenda item 7E, consultation with legal counsel regarding guidance from the Texas Education Agency related to reporting educator misconduct as allowed by Texas Government Code 551.071. I'm going to ask our counsel, Joey Moore, I want to make sure that I call the agenda item 3B, discussion of personnel matters. As long as I state 551.074, we are good to go? Okay. So the time is now 5:10 p.m., and we are in closed session, and we will go into the superintendent's conference room. Thank you. It is now 6 p.m., and we are reconvening from closed session. Let the record reflect that at 5:12 p.m., Trustee Oliver Mintz joined us in closed session. Welcome. This meeting of the Clean Independent School District will resume in accordance with the posted agenda for today's meeting. We'd like to welcome our school liaison from Fort Hood, Christine Caparco. Thanks for joining us today. As a reminder, anyone wishing to speak at public forum must submit their sign-up sheet at this time. It has been the board's practice before each regular meeting to have an invocation and pledges of allegiance to the United States flag and Texas flag. Tonight, the invocation will be led by Trustee Marvin Rainwater, and the pledges will be led by students Sydney Escobedo and Jonah Riesman from Sagert Elementary. Please stand.
Excuse me. May we pray? Our Father and our God, we're so grateful that you have blessed our school district with such loving parents and such people that want to see their children grow, teachers that want to work hard under endless taskings, and administrators who choose to lead. We have bus drivers, custodians, cooks that love and serve our students. And Father, we're so grateful that you have protected our school from the horrible, horrible events that happens across our nation. We pray, God, for your mercies and ask that you love us and control us and let us always remember the face and the loving nature of a holy God. In Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Students, you may be seated. A recording of this meeting is being made and will be available to the public at a later date. We're also streaming this meeting on our cable channel 17 and on the district's webpage. We'll now move to agenda item number 1, honors and recognition. Dr. Buckley.
Please come forward for a lot of pictures. Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board, and Dr. Davis. Tonight, I am leading honors and recognition as our Executive Director, Karen Rudolph, is attending a conference. As you can see, we have a very full house tonight. We've had over 80 students and staff to honor for their outstanding achievements. But first, I'd like to remind everyone that official district photos from tonight's honors and recognitions will be available after the meeting at KillingISD.org/photos. We'd like to make a note to you and all of our parents that given the large number of students tonight, we'll be doing things just a little bit differently. After our students from each high school come up to be recognized, we will briefly pause to allow the parents to take pictures of their student, and then we're going to allow them to exit safely and invite the next school's parents and students to come in before we recognize them. After we recognize you, parents and students, you can make your way outside the building and to take photos. And we want to thank you all for being here tonight. This is fabulous. All right, so tonight we are proud to recognize outstanding Killeen ISD students who have earned national academic honors from the College Board National Recognition Program, placing them among the top 10% of high school scholars nationwide. These awards celebrate their consistent achievement for excellence, top performance on the PSAT and National Merit Scholarship Qualifying Test, or AP exams, and a GPA of 3.3 or higher. Students were honored across 3 categories: school recognition, first-generation recognition, and rural and small-town recognition. Representing all 6 KISD high schools, these students are being connected to colleges across the country through this program. Their achievement reflects not only their hard work and determination, but also the incredible support of our educators and families. Out of the 101 Killeen ISD students who received this distinction, we are pleased to welcome those who are with us this evening to be recognized in person. We're going to begin with Chaparral High School. So parents, you're welcome to come up in a minute and take pictures. We're going to have them all come up at once and then take a group photo. We have Tolu Abadu, Abigail Cruz, Keenan Branch, Grace Davila, Alana Green, Jada Johnson, Jerome Mina, Zoria Lazo Nieves, Kayla Martinez, Erica Mikulek Dalzell, Oshana Valentine, and Devin Williamson. Thank you, Chaparral. Chaparral parents, if y'all wouldn't mind exiting, we're going to let the early college high school parents come in, and there's over 30. Yes, you can leave. Thank you so much. Thank you. Great. You got to go pick up somebody. Okay, thank you. Can I go that way? Yeah. That way. Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you. Good seeing you. Thank you. Good seeing you. All right, Chaparral early college high school parents, y'all are welcome to come on in. This is our largest group, and it should be okay. Just have a seat anywhere. Yeah, anywhere you want. Sure. Parents, y'all can sit or y'all can stand along the wall, whatever you want. you want to come over here? Can you scooch down one? I'll move this seat. Okay. Thank you for your patience. All right, for early college high school, we're going to start us off with Elena Alcaraz, De Honoris Aviles, Charlotte Borja, Haley Bird, Maximus Channon, Tony Chin, Janelis de Sadas, Juan Diego Casio, Danielle Ellis, Elizabeth Favela, Sayuri Farron, Luciana Figueroa. And kiddos, y'all might have to stand over here for a little bit. Come all the way up here for a minute till we get everybody through. Arvin Gonfell, Sienna Gonzalez, Laura Gray, Keith Halton. Kiddos, just move up here and double line them so the kids can go around. Sasha Herberger, Juliana Jensen, Kaya King, Shane McMichael, Trinity Mack, Harmony Morales, Erlene Nixon, Thomas Pauley, Karina Petrie, Tristan Reese, Alexandra Reyes, Tyson Elias, Ariana Sanchez Ortiz, Isabella Soto, Destiny Sullivan, Rose Torres Costas, Mary Lynn Urena, and Jacob Van Valkenburg. Woo! All right, y'all are going to have to crowd in and scooch down a little bit. You can do this. Stay there.
Smile. Good senior year.
Thank you, early college, and thank you, early college parents. Y'all can all exit after the kiddos.
He's like, now get out of here.
Yeah, now go. Take your pictures of it. Way to go.
You ready? You want to go, want me to go to the prime video? How do we do that? I didn't know if you want me to do that.
This is a good problem to have. Yes. All right, if we could have Harker Heights High School and Ellison High School parents come in. This way. There's some up here. Y'all are welcome to go along the wall also. Yeah. All right. My glasses on. All right, for Harker Heights High School, we have Kendra Caitlin, Evelyn Councilhan, Montserrat Hernandez Martinez, Alexander Kim, Mervin Jaden Norito, Caden Wynn, Juan Orduna, Hannah Thompson, Nanami Threadgill, Israel Valdez Munoz, Caroline Vanderberg, and Rachel Yancey.
Right.
Can go up to the middle. Okay, thank you, Harker Heights High School. Oh. Do you want, did you get it?
No, she missed it. Come back, y'all.
Y'all come back. We got one more parent. Come on back. Huh? Oh, there was a kid? Who is it? Someone came in. All right, and we called Mervin Jaden Norito's name, but we're gonna have him come on back down. Is Mervin down here? Oh, you made it. Okay. All right. Any more pictures?
Come on up, man. Get closer.
All right. Thank you. And Harker Heights parents, y'all are welcome to exit as well. We're going to let Ellison will be next with Colleen and then Shoemaker. Thank you. Can we exit? Yeah, you can go there. Thank you. Colleen and Shoemaker parents, there's room to come on in. I called Ellison. There's some up here too. And y'all are welcome to stand right along the wall as well. Okay. Here we go with Ellison High School. We have Christina Apado, Hunter Emblem, Kalisha Linton, Garland Potvin the third Tripp, Belto Villasanta the second. Ellison High School. Okay, thank you, Ellison. From Killeen High School, I'll let the parents sneak out. For Killeen High School, we have Jake Kilpatrick and Malachi Thornton. That's Jake. It's you. Okay, thank you, Jake. And finally, from Shoemaker High School, we have Tyler Harris, Jada Holloman, Kellen Miccanelli, and Charles Rodriguez Caraballo. You can stand up. Thank you, Shoemaker. We're not done, but we're close. Next, we are proud to recognize some outstanding students from the Killeen High School Career Center FFA chapter who earned the Lone Star FFA degree at the 2025 Texas FFA Convention. This is the highest honor awarded in the high school's members by the Texas FFA Association and reflects the leadership, dedication, and excellence they possess in agricultural education. To qualify, students complete more than 1,000 hours in supervised agriculture experience. They complete over 25 hours of community service and participate in 10 or more activities beyond the local level. and demonstrate leadership throughout their time in FFA. Joining us here tonight, we have beautiful Robinson Thompson, Heavenly McRae, Emily North, Jocelyn Martinez, and Veronica Izagari. Congratulations to our FFA students. Oh, Killeen High School, not the Career Center. I said Killeen. Killeen High School. Go Roos. And Autumn Lisenby. Next, we are honored to recognize KISD Police Officer Carrie Spate, who has been named a 2025 Warrior Award recipient by the Texas Municipal Police Association, the largest law enforcement association in the state. This award is given to officers who display extraordinary courage and take swift, life-saving action even in the face of personal danger. Officer Spate was recognized alongside the Texas Department of Public Safety trooper for stopping a vehicle-borne attack at the Killeen Mall in 2024, presenting what could have been a tragic event. With 3 years of service in KISD, Officer Spate is known for her professionalism, compassion, and deep commitment to the safety of our students, staff, and community. Please help me welcome Officer Carrie Spate. Proud dad. Congratulations. Tonight, we are also proud to recognize Dr. Janelle Muhammad, principal of Rancier Middle School, who has been named the Region 12 Outstanding Principal of the Year by the Texas Association of Secondary School Principals. Selected by her peers for exceptional leadership and impact, Dr. Muhammad is now eligible to compete for the Texas Principal of the Year title. Since taking the helm in Rancier in 2023, she has led a powerful campus transformation, implementing a phone-free learning environment, launching a school-wide academic turnaround plan, and building a stronger together culture that has boosted student success and family engagement. She is known for her vision, courage, and belief in what's possible. Dr. Muhammad represents the very best of school leadership in Killeen ISD and across our regions. Congratulations, Dr. Muhammad. All right, as we shift into a new part of tonight's recognition, we'd like to take a moment to highlight an important focus of the month of September, Attendance Awareness Month. This year's message is clear: showing up is the golden habit. Regular attendance is one of the strongest predictors of academic success, supporting not only grades, but also confidence, friendships, and future opportunities. When students miss just 10% of their year, which actually is 18 days, it can impact their ability to read on grade level, stay on track through middle school, and graduate on time. That's why we encourage families to build strong attendance routines early, plan appointments outside of the school hours, and reach out when support is needed. At the heart of this work is a team committed to helping students and families overcome barriers and stay connected to learning. Tonight, we proudly recognize Executive Director Iris Felder and our dedicated team of attendance officers who work across campuses to support student success through consistent engagement, outreach, and care. Please join me in welcoming them as we honor their efforts and reaffirm our commitment to helping every student show up and shine. So we have Miss Iris Felder, District Attendance Officers Katina Bowers, Victoria Mintz, and Roberta Wilson. And we have Mr. Brian Cotton, Chaparral High School, Todd Garazewski, Ellison High School, Reginald Perry, Harker Heights High School, Jason Gray, Killeen High School, and Anthony Barr, Shoemaker High School.
Here we go. Get it, Todd.
Thank you, guys. Okay, to conclude tonight, we're honored to recognize a group of professionals whose work often happens behind the scenes, but whose impact is felt in every classroom, office, and device across the district. In celebration of IT Professionals Day, we want to take a moment to thank the incredible individuals who keep Killeen ISD connected, secure, and running smoothly. From managing networks and supporting classroom technology to ensuring cybersecurity and resolving daily tech challenges, their work is essential to teaching, learning, and district operations. Thank you for all that you do to support our staff, students, and schools every single day. With us here tonight, we have Executive Director of Data and Information Technology, Dr. Nicole Cook. And with her are our directors, James Rawls, Juan Rivera Andelez, Dean Murphy, and Teresa Moosman. Okay, thank you. In closing, this is an inspiring group that we've been able to honor tonight. Thank you for your patience. It was a lot, but I think we did them justice. Each of these groups embodies the talent, dedication, and heart that make Killeen ISD shine. Thank you for your commitment to excellence and for helping create a bright future across our schools and our community. Thank you all.
We'll now go to agenda item number 2, public forum. The board will now hear comments from those who've signed up to speak. Per board policy, each public comment is limited to 3 minutes. I will ask the audience to please refrain from any public outburst and to maintain decorum. Parents, employees, and citizens are encouraged to utilize the district's grievance process to the fullest extent possible. Related policies are available on the district's website or upon request. For the record, we ask that all public forum participants begin by stating their name and the city in which they reside. Once complete, your 3 minutes will begin. I'm being informed that we have no one signed up to speak at public forum, so we're closing public forum. And we're moving to agenda item number 4, consent agenda. A, receive and approve minutes for the September 9th, 2025 regular meeting. B, consideration of the adoption of the system scorecard priorities and district goals. This is a consent agenda, trustees. We can vote on these 2 items as a whole, or we can pull one and have discussion about it. So what is your wish? Madam Secretary.
Mr. President, I move to accept the consent item A and B as printed.
I have a motion by Secretary Adams. We have a second by Trustee Gilchrist. Any further discussion by trustees? There being none, all those in favor, show of hands. We have 6 in favor, none in opposition, 1 absent and not participating, and Vice President Susan Jones, 6-0-1. Thank you very much. We are now going to take up agenda item 6B. And we're going to welcome Dr. Terry Osborne. And let me get this right. Item 6B, which is discussion of the Texas Education Agency requirement to develop and implement campus turnaround plans for Manor Middle School, Palo Alto Middle School, and Eastern Hills Middle School. Once again, welcome Dr. Terry Osborne.
Good evening, President Williams, Board of Trustees, Dr. Davis. Tonight, I'll be reviewing our detailed overview of the turnaround plans for Manor Middle School, Palo Alto Middle School, and Eastern Hills Middle School. Our ultimate hope through this presentation is to provide clarity, and that clarity is very important to the focus that we need to implement these plans. I'll get us started tonight by providing some context and purpose. As you all may remember, in my presentations from August related to A through F accountability, we recently received 3 sets of ratings from the Texas Education Agency in the year of 2025, going from April to August. Through those ratings, we identified that we have 3 KIAC campuses that must now implement and develop a turnaround plan. Yes, sir.
I just want to make sure they can hear you at home clearly.
I'll lean in a little. Okay. Tonight's presentation is going to summarize the campuses that are affected, what exactly is included in our turnaround plan, and most importantly, the timeline for implementing our turnaround plan. Starting with the plan requirements, I want to emphasize that the turnaround plan is definitively different from the targeted improvement plan. Many times our campuses have come to the dais and spoken about their targeted improvement plan. That is specific to subpopulations in our federal accountability. A turnaround plan is specific to overall ratings for our state accountability. It's also different in its comprehensive nature. It's designed to make sure that we're addressing not just surface level challenges with a few strategies, but persistent ongoing underperformance through a comprehensive plan that is designed specifically to improve instruction. It's specifically anchored in the Effective Schools Framework. I'll go a little deeper on that later in our discussion. And through the presentation, our goal is to make sure that we are unpacking root causes in that turnaround plan, to make sure that we are equipping teachers, accelerating learning, and not just for 1 year, but different than our targeted improvement plans, a turnaround plan is 3 years. There's some components that I'll go through, but I'll just move swiftly through this part to make sure that we get to the key pieces. Other items that are different in the turnaround plan is how it's triggered, so to speak. 2 years of unacceptable ratings will launch a turnaround plan, and we have 3 campuses that have 3 years of unacceptable ratings and 1 campus with 2 years. So we have 3 that will be implementing a turnaround plan. The other difference is that it is not just designed at the campus level. The turnaround plan is a joint endeavor with the campus and the district personnel to make sure it's as comprehensive in nature as it needs to be. Also different from the targeted improvement plan, a turnaround plan requires the feedback and input from our parents, our staff, and community connected to those campuses before it comes to you for board approval. And the real key on this slide is that the turnaround plan ultimately requires commissioner's approval. That will be submitted for us on November the 14th, and our hope is to get that information back about approval in January. It's important also that people understand the consequence of not improving. The turnaround plan is designed to do very much that, turn it around. Not at the surface, not just with one portion of the campus, but everyone. And the consequence of that not happening at a campus are listed on the screen. The one that we're all most familiar with is what happens when a campus gets 5 consecutive unacceptable ratings. Again, we have 2 campuses that have 3 consecutive unacceptable and 1 campus with 2. But most are familiar with Houston ISD and the experience that they have navigated after 5 unacceptable years. At that point, the commissioner must, by statute, appoint a board of managers and/or close that campus, and then he also has the authority to remove the superintendent, be that the case. It's also important that when we're seeking to improve, that it's not marginal improvement, it's significant improvement. So if you move from a F to a D, that's positive, but the expectation is that campuses move to A, B, or C to move out of the status of intervention. That D rating will pause that count of unacceptable consecutive years, but it will not erase the count. I'll talk a little bit more about that. The last thing that you see on there is about the conservator option of the commissioner. When a campus gets to 3 years of unacceptable ratings, the commissioner does have the authority to appoint a conservator for the district for support and intervention and ensure the implementation of the turnaround plan. It's also important to know that our effort is to ensure that that does not happen. That means that we have to train, we have to show up fully, we have to write and develop very clear plans that are robust enough to be perceived as making systemic change at those campuses. When we talked about these three campuses back in August, it was in the context of all of our A through F ratings. So I want to zoom out, or more specifically, zoom in to these 3 campuses and talk about why they are turnaround campuses. Our A through F ratings go back to 2019, and I'll start with Manor, and I'm going to start on that top row all the way over to the right. In 2019, that did not count as an unacceptable year. Then there were 3 consecutive years that we existed through COVID, and there were no official ratings, so to speak. And then the first unacceptable rating for Manor was in 2023. That was a 59, followed by another F that was a 52, followed by another F in 2025 that was a 59, and those 59s were forced failures. Regardless of that, there are 3 consecutive years, and that's what orders the turnaround plan. On the second line, I have Palo Alto. That F you see in 2019 is the first year of unacceptable, because the F is an unacceptable rating. As I mentioned on the previous slide, in 2023, that D paused the count. So the count remained at 1, but then at 2024, the count went up to 2, and then in 2025, that took it up to 3. So I just want to make sure we understand where those years are coming from. And then last but definitely not least, and equally important, Eastern Hills. If you look all the way to the right, C does not count, C does not count, D does not count as unacceptable, although it is not how we would want the school to be performing. The 2024 F does count, and that was a 57, and then the 2025 F counts as the second year, and that was a 58. I will pause for any questions right there, just because.
Questions from trustees? Mr. Rainwater?
Score from D to F and from F to C was,
I'm sorry, Ms. Rainwater.
I'm just curious about the letter grades and the numerical grades. What's the passing score from D to F? And
Great point. So an F would be up to a 59. A D would be up to a 69. And then, of course, 70 would be a C, as in regular academic counting. So then our 79 would be a C, going to a 80 would be a B, 89, and then 90 and above would be an A.
Doctor, I don't remember this, but do the scores raise, the passing scores raise every year? In other words, instead of having a F or a 59, it'd become a 65 or something? That's in the agency's plan. isn't it?
Great question. There are data points that change from year to year, and those are considered the cut points for individual tests. So in one year, my algebra score, if I get 17 correct, might count as this. And then the next year, that 17 correct might count differently. But that's where the change happens. It does not happen at the overall level from the 59, 69, 79, and so on. So the A through F structure is exactly the same year over year. It's the embedded test scoring that could change from year to year.
Thank you.
Great question, sir. So just speaking a little bit about the order of this process, we received our ratings in August, 2 years in August, and another year was received back in April. Based on those 3 consecutive or 2 consecutive unacceptable, that's where you see on the far left, the commissioner orders TAP preparation. Where we are right now is in the center, where we are discussing publicly and notifying our community as well as our board what this means and where we stand. I'm going to go on a little bit more in our presentation about how we approach the district preparation of the TAP. And just want to make sure, as I use TAP, I'll be referring to turnaround plan as TAP. Okay. So going into some key pieces here, I have 2 handouts for you before we go on. I want to make sure that you have in your vicinity. One looks like a sample of a turnaround plan. The top says Part 1. It is blue. And then I believe our media, I've given a copy as well. And then you have the yellow packet, which I'll refer to briefly, but the blue one is what we're going to talk through right now as we refer to plan development. Okay? So to break down the turnaround plan in the most simplified way for you all, Board of Trustees, and for the community, we're approaching the turnaround plan in 3 parts. It's important to share that we're not in this alone. We don't write it from scratch independently with no guidance. That is not the case. TEA provides a template for the turnaround plan. In fact, not only do they provide the template, they provide a sample plan, which is exactly what you're looking at. We received that template and sample plan in our initial technical assistance with the region, and I want to talk through the pieces. The first part of our turnaround plan is what's called the foundational information of the TAP plan. It's simply a spreadsheet. If you think about a spreadsheet, this is tab 1 on the spreadsheet. It includes the general campus information, which you see in the top box of that template. It includes the turnaround method. I've talked a lot about the turnaround plan being more than just a few strategies. There has to be significant method for infrastructure change. Then another key part of the Part 1, Tab 1, is the current reality versus future vision. As we develop a turnaround plan, our requirement is that we assess where we are, as Dr. Davis would say, assess, accept the brutal facts, put them on paper of our current reality, but where are we going? That is the first part of the turnaround plan. All of that has to be connected to the effective schools framework. On the right-hand side, on the bottom, you see the 5 levers that Texas Education Agency has defined as the most high-leverage areas to impact school improvement and district improvement. So when we talk about our current reality, we're talking about it in relation to strong leadership and planning, strategic staffing, so on and so forth for those 5 levers. So let's take a look quickly at the actual plan itself. You have it in front of you, campus information at the top. Again, this is the exemplar template that we were provided as a district, as our go-by, so to speak. As I mentioned, there's the campus information. The important section I want to talk through here is the turnaround method. All 3 of our campuses will be doing the school improvement method, which I have highlighted in green, as well as one of the school action methods that you see highlighted or boxed in red. Let's talk about why we're doing that. The school improvement method, as it shows in the description, is about building internal capacity. So regardless of whether we do a restart or a reassign or any of those major school actions, we know we must build the capacity of the staff, the leaders, the principal, the other administrators. So we're doing the foundational base plan plus those significant school actions. And I'll go into that a little more. But you may see there and recognize that what's in the red box looks just like what we've walked through with optimization. So we will be selecting that secondary level of turnaround method through the optimization process. So all schools will have the school improvement section plus whatever school action is selected for those respective campuses on October 28th. If you'll turn the page for me. In your template, we're still in that first tab on the spreadsheet, and it's talking about at this point that future vision versus current reality. You'll see on the left-hand side where I have an arrow on the screen at the 1.1, that is one of the levers of the Effective Schools framework. We believe, the state believes, our campuses believe that it's critical to improve a school through well-defined roles and responsibilities. So the campus is charged with taking a look at where they stand right now, and you'll see in that top box, this campus is identified in narrative form where they stand with roles and responsibilities. They've also outlined in the box below it, what does full implementation look like in alignment with the TPES rubric, in alignment with the Effective Schools framework. All of those things are directly connected. This is part 1 of the process of the turnaround plan development. Let's talk about part 2. So part 1 is just the foundation, campus information, current reality versus future vision. Part 2, as I mentioned, is the school improvement method. Again, all of our campuses will write and outline the strategies through the school improvement method. And the purpose of doing that is thinking about it as a base plan. What is our base plan for improving the capacity of our professionals, improving the quality of experiences for our kids? In that foundational practices section, there are 4 things outlined. And I'm going to go into them when I looked at the template, so I'll just hit them very briefly here. You'll see in your template the district commitment to theory of action. Well, what does that mean? That means that as a district, we believe if we do blank, then a campus can do blank. So it's just a theory of action. By doing these district commitments, we empower our campuses to be successful in the associated area. We have to define that more specifically with the system and capacity building plan. We also have to outline all of the critical milestones associated with that, and then also include the financial resources and budget. So if you'll flip in your template to the page that says Part 2, and this, what you see on the screen, is the top of that. So we've looked through part one, we're looking at part two. All of our campuses will complete the part two as well. There's the district commitment to the theory of action. If, right here on that plan, I would put a note to take a look at the school improvement actions by Killeen ISD. So that's actually your second template, your second packet that you have. That's our district theory of action. Those are our district actions we're initiating and have done in the last year, all the way up to this day, that we will include in our section of the district commitment to theory of action. Those are district level actions listed there. So that's where they would go in our plan. So continuing to look at the actual blue template, yes, sir? No problem.
Are you telling me the theories of actions, that's going to be different for each school, correct?
The theory of action at the district level will have some nuance depending on if math is the ultimate need, if capacity building for administrators is the need, if shoring up of the principal's leadership ability. Those will be nuanced and different, but as a district, we have to have a system-wide plan for not just improving these 3 schools, but actually all 50-plus schools. So we have, what you're looking at is what we're doing at every single campus, plus the things that are happening at the turnaround campuses.
Every campus in KISD?
Though, that is our district blueprint for instructional improvement.
So then a theory of action is or is not different for each campus based on the needs of that campus? Or is it one theory of action that's applicable to all 3 schools?
It is one theory of action, and it could go deeper depending on the campus. Let me give you an example. As a district, we are implementing professional learning communities. We believe as a district, through professional learning communities, we can support and provide a framework for campuses to improve teacher quality. District action, PLC, that's our theory of action. But at specific campuses where our instructional specialists are newer, our theory, our action at that campus might be modeling inside of that PLC for that specific campus. So foundation for everyone, different when it comes to implementation.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Great questions. So for part 2, I'm giving you that chunk of information that we'll actually put in our own plans. And then for the system and capacity building, that's what our campuses are working through right now. How are they improving the capacity of each version of staff, whether it's an aide or it's an instructor or it's an apprentice teacher, regardless of experience, we're covering all of those things in the capacity building section. Okay, next page. And I believe this is your page 5, what I have on the screen now. So next thing to include is when we're doing those things. It's one thing to have the plan, but you also have to have timelines. So if we say we're improving PLC by going out and model teaching at one of our turnaround campuses, or that's what we're implementing, what the state expects is that we put it in the plan and outline the lever it's connected to and when we intend to do it. You'll also notice in this section that it's not just one semester or 1 year, it's a 3-year plan. So the capacity building has to be discussed and written out for year over year. And that's one of the major things that makes it different from a targeted improvement plan. The last thing that you'll see is the budget, and I believe that takes you to the next page. Okay. Thank you. Through this process, we also have to outline, for the good of the business and finance department, how much this is going to cost us to do these things. Of course, we're not starting professional development just today, so some of it is already embedded in our budget. Some of the things we'll include in our plan will be new needs, and we've started bringing those to senior staff as of yesterday, and then we're planning to present those needs as well to the board on October 7th. Yes, sir? Just want to check in before I go to part 3. Okay. So part 1, part 2 covered. Part 3. A major component of the turnaround plan that is different from a campus improvement plan or a targeted improvement plan is the method of restructure. This is what makes it deeper and wider than a targeted improvement plan. The method for restructure, we've actually been talking about through the optimization process. We've discussed through this process of optimization 3 options for our campuses. And you saw them in our town halls, speaking to the public. We've seen them here in the boardroom as scenario 6, 7, and 8. For Eastern Hills is 6, Palo Alto was scenario 7, and Manor Middle School was scenario 8. And they each had a different version of these options for restart and reassign. For the good of the group and the public, I want to talk through those one more time. The restart has 2 options. Option 1A is the district-run restart. That is a TEA grant program. We've referred to it as ACE. It's designed to bring higher-performing staff to campuses through financial incentive or stipends. It's also designed to make sure that campuses have wraparound services. So there's typically a longer school day. We may bring in more social services supports. We might add an additional SEL counselor. So that's not just incentives via stipend. That's a huge priority of it, getting our highest quality professionals to those campuses, but it's also an infrastructure change. So changing how you do business through that grant program and the funds that are authorized. I have in parentheses there, the key difference between 1A and 1B is 1A, the ACE program does not pause the accountability clock. If we implemented ACE, and to just make sure that I'm super plain, all of the things on this page are for 2026 start, for August of 2026. So if we implemented ACE in August of 2026, of course, we'd have to apply for the grant and those different things, we would have gotten or received our 4th rating. It doesn't mean it's going to be a 4th F, and I'm declaring that it will not be based on the work that we're doing right now with my team behind me and the ones that are probably listening online, but we would have a 4th letter grade. It does not pause us from getting a 4th letter grade or proceeding into the year where we'd get a 5th letter grade. Different from that is 1B. We've talked about it as well, 1882 partnerships. This is the opportunity for the district to make the determination, or excuse me, the board to make the determination to authorize a charter school to operate one of our turnaround campuses. I'll wait till a little later in the presentation to talk about the timeline because there's some details on that. But I do want to say that one thing that is different is it pauses the accountability clock. So like I said, these options would be for August of 2026. And if we had a 4th letter grade, it would pause if we started August of 2026 with the 1882 partnership.
Mr. Gilchrist.
Dr. Osborne, I want to make sure that I'm clear on this. So basically, the turnaround plan is what we develop, and then we are either going to implement this under the district-run TEA grant program, or ACE, or the 1882 partnership.
Or the reassign, you're correct. We're
Right.
writing this plan, and we're writing all of our plans to include, first, the school improvement method, and then to include a method for restructure, and we have 3 options. And we're making those decisions through the optimization process.
Okay, I just want to make sure that I'm clear on that, because it's kind of confusing a little bit to me. Basically, you're saying that we got a plan, but how we're going to implement that plan is one of these 3 ways.
That's correct.
Okay.
And the timeline, I think, will help bring clarity to that for you. Okay. I'm glad, okay. Yes, sir, you're good. Any other questions to clarify before I go on to reassign? Okay, so we have the 2 methods for restructure under Restart, the district run or the partner run. And then we have the 3rd method listed as number 2, which is also a closure. or consolidation. We saw closure and consolidation options in the optimization plan for our 3 middle school campuses, as well as some others. But as it relates to the turnaround plan, 3 campuses we're looking at this method for 3 campuses. For Eastern Hills and Palo Alto, we are looking at the opportunity for a reassign, which is a closure. We are not proposing that option for Manor Middle School. So let me take a step back and clarify. For Manor Middle School, the options in the turnaround plan are option 1A and 1B. That's what we've proposed through optimization. For Palo Alto Middle School, we've proposed all 3 that you see on the screen, 1A, 1B, and the potential to close or reassign. And if you recall in that presentation, we said if we close Palo Alto, that would be a potential site for DAEP. So through optimization, we also have some additional options that we've added when we think about if we're going to do that, well, if this, then what? If we close Palo Alto, we considered it for DAEP. For Eastern Hills, we proposed through optimization all 3 options again: district run restart, partner run restart, or a closure. And then if we closed Eastern Hills, we discussed Harker Heights Elementary being at that building in the future after some facilities support and renovations as needed. We've recently learned a little more about the closure process, and that's why I've updated this slide a little bit. So I'm going to go through what I have there on the right. If we close or consolidate a campus, we can move those kids to a higher performing campus. If it's an A or B campus, we're eligible to apply for a grant. If it's a C campus, we're not eligible to apply for the reassigned grant. But we can move students, as we understand it now, to an A, B, or C campus. Now, there's a caveat to it, and that's the second paragraph we have on the screen there under reassign. If we close a campus, whether it's Eastern Hills or Palo Alto, the rating that those campuses currently have follow the plurality of the students. Where most students end up going, that rating is going to be a ghost rating to the new campus. Let me give you more specifics. Eastern Hills, for example, the plurality of the students through optimization would go to Nolan. So we would have a ghost rating that follows those kids, and that is why it's so important to do the school improvement method, because the teachers follow the kids. And we must improve everyone's capacity regardless of where they end up in the system. Specific example for Palo Alto. The plurality of the Palo Alto students in a closure would go to Patterson. So that ghost score or that ghost rating would follow those kids to Patterson. That does not mean Patterson or Nolan would suddenly be an F. Let me just make sure that that's plain and clear. That means that they would not be off the radar. The expectation would be to intervene and support at the receiving campuses. So that's where you see on the 3rd paragraph, all receiving campuses have to have HQIM, high quality instructional materials, which we've already guaranteed through our curriculum implementation in this year. All of them would have to have a targeted PD plan. We're developing that plan right now, so it would follow kids to wherever the plurality of students go. And then differentiated support would follow, the plan would follow the students. So that's what makes part 2 so important. You can't do part 2 and then suddenly send kids somewhere else and you didn't plan for actual school improvement and internal capacity building at the school they're at right now that's not being successful. So when I said that we're doing part 2, school improvement, plus a school action determined through optimization, that's why we're doing the base plan plus the infrastructure change. Does that make sense to everyone? That's such a dangerous yes or no question. Please let me know if you have questions. That's what I should say.
Oh, I'm sorry. Define for me what you mean when you say plurality.
It is different than majority, because we consider majority to be 51%. It's the campus that receives the most of the students, regardless if it's a majority or not.
So is it, the way I'm understanding it, which I think is incorrect, it would be possible for the receiving campus to get 3 different campus scores?
Just the plurality. So the way we have outlined optimization, there is a campus that's getting most of the students. If we closed Eastern Hills, students would go to Ransier, Manor, Nolan, but most of the students would go to Nolan, and then also Liberty Hill, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. But most of the students would go to Nolan, which would be considered the plurality, regardless of whether it hits 51%, our version of majority.
Okay.
So the GHOST score would follow the kids to Nolan.
The campus that gets the largest amount of kids from the campus.
The most, largest amount of kids, most kids from the campus.
Then how would that affect Nolan's score?
So, great question. We're meeting with CSG in this week to talk specifically about the academic data that will follow students and how it would affect the plurality, because this is new learning for us about where the GHOST score would follow. But based on what we've engaged and heard in this first conversation is kids adapt or shift to the campus, not the campus shifting to the kids. I want to see that in numbers. We have to qualify and quantify that, Dr. Davis. Yes, we will.
I got a question from Mr. Mintz.
So I have 3 questions, actually, and I'll try to be quick. So we talked about, you said that there's already been budget addressed. How are we addressing budget if we haven't made any of these decisions yet?
Okay, great question. When I say that budget has already been addressed, I mean through our budget process coming into this year, there were several things we already knew we were going to do. For example, utilize Region 12 to do Get Better, Faster training at our campuses. That was addressed through our budget, so I have it in my budget already to do it. Dr. Creighton already has it in her budget to do it. So that would be on the turnaround plan as an action, but it's already addressed financially. We might add an item on there if it's personnel or it's a new action or incentive, teacher stipend. That would not have been addressed through the budget at this point.
But you said that it was addressed with senior staff, so that's stuff that's common to any of these plans, is that the short answer?
No, sir.
Okay. Then,
Addressed at senior staff, the new items that we're considering that we need to address turnaround campuses, to address middle schools, to address special education, to address, there was one more, just my brain is, multilingual services. We developed a couple of priority buckets that we'll be bringing to the board that were not a part of our budget planning coming into this year, that are now a part of our thought processes because we're in turnaround.
but those are all independent of any decisions that yet need to be made, I guess is probably what I should have asked.
Yes, we haven't
Okay.
made any decisions yet, and actually, we haven't gotten fully to what's the top 10 yet.
Okay.
We just know we have our buckets and our full list of things that we'd love to have to get the work done.
Okay. My next question is, and I think you may have said it, I may have just missed it, the campuses where the pluralities of these students go, which would be Patterson and Nolan, do they get or are they eligible for extra funding?
That's a great question. It would have to be a part of a different grant process, that if we wrote an ACE grant for Nolan or Patterson, then they would have grants or additional funds, but not just because the kids are going there.
And then my third question is, you've used this term ghost rating. So am I going to see, when I see Patterson's rating next year, is it going to say B, parentheses, or something, F?
No, sir.
Okay, so there is no ghost rating per se, or do we track those students separately?
Ghost supervision is the best way to describe it. If if we take a look at this chart here, if that said Nolan, it would not suddenly have 2 letter grades next to it because students went there from Eastern Hills. Same thing for Patterson. What we would know and have to track is that kids from Eastern Hills or kids from Palo Alto went to those schools. It would not show up as it's been described to us on the rating documentation. And that's where the terminology that was shared with us goes.
Madam Capito?
So is it more that they will be using that as part of a formula?
That has not been defined in that way at all for us.
Okay.
That
Madam
was kind of my
Secretary.
question. Would we be looking at the individual scores of the students coming with them, or we don't know that yet?
That has
or-
not been defined either. And just, I think it's a good place to stamp. We have not received ratings officially since 2019. So 2019 is the last set of letter grades that we got before this year. In 2020, there was the not rated, 21 not rated, 22, all of the House bill protection during COVID. And then there were 3 years that ratings weren't released until the court case was settled. So some of these rulemaking aspects don't exist yet because dozens of districts across the state are sitting exactly where we are with, boom, 3 unacceptable ratings, boom, 2 unacceptable ratings.
Dr. Osborne, quick question. And Mr. Mintz had posed a question about the campuses being eligible or not being eligible for funding. And as I understand your presentation is because they are C-rated campuses less than A or B, if you were to close and move students there, they would not be eligible because of their status as a C campus. Am I tracking that correct?
No, they just, no, not certain, not connected to their rating at all. Just, you don't automatically get funding because the kids go to a new campus.
What drives whether or not you're eligible to get the funding if you go closure and relocation to another campus?
2 things. The first thing that's going to drive it is if you apply, and then the second thing that's going to drive it is whether or not the school they're going to is an A or a B. To be eligible for the reassign grants for those campuses, they'd have to be an A or a B. Both of them are a C.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
That's
A C and a-
that's exactly where I'm going with my question. So because they would be relocated to C-rated campuses, we would not be eligible for the funding. But what if we wrap up this school year and those campuses get to B? Are we out of the window where we could potentially get funding for that next year? That would be my question.
Great
because
question.
Nolan and Patterson, if they come in this year and they
There-
come out as Bs,
There would have to be a new grant cycle. The grant cycle for funding, for reassigned funding as well, is October 1st through December 1st. So we would, unless they came out with something in late spring, not that we're aware of at this time.
Now, my next question would be is that, I know originally the thought was that you could not go the closure route unless there was an A or B-rated campus to move them to. We've since been informed that it is an option to potentially relocate them to a C-rated campus, but then I would go back to my point before is if we work with TEA and maybe that results in us, if we go that route, having an opportunity in a new window as how they may look at our system of what we're, kind of like a ad alt in Adam's world, but where you'd say, hey, no funding, but if you can show improvement at where they're going, that maybe there's another window that would get opened. And I would say that you never know unless you present that to them.
I would love to speak for TEA, but I won't do so. That would be wonderful, because I wholeheartedly believe our campuses are going to improve. We are doing the work, and like I said, we have a robust plan. The expectation of TEA is that we have a full-fledged, deep and wide plan for internal capacity building.
And I totally understand it. I want to engage in the conversation about what may be possible, because I'm hoping that our campuses do show improvement, but also they show that improvement. Let's say Union Grove jumps up in they're an A, but then they take on all these additional students. Well, we know they're going to need additional resources. We're going to provide those, but I think it's going to be resources above and beyond is what should happen if we want to make sure they're successful moving forward.
If I had the commissioner's ear, I'd probably say that.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Gilchrist, thank you.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
You said that the district turnaround plan is being implemented district-wide. But
Yes, sir.
the turnaround requirements are for the 3 campuses that we've been notified for. But we're already beginning to do things district-wide to affect improvement through the system.
Absolutely, sir.
So that's gonna help us with these other campuses that have Ds and Fs that are not consecutive, but they've had them.
Without a doubt, that is our belief.
Okay.
And we're going out to the campuses to support and ensure implementation of what we have put in place to affect change in the whole system.
But that's not mandatory. We're
That-
doing that to get ahead of it, kind of.
That we launched these things to get ahead of it. And that's why, I'll honestly say, that's why we're in position through optimization as a decision-making framework. We're not presenting to our community today because of accountability ratings, we have to close a school. We have been in those conversations in advance of the ratings because we know what's best for the community and our kids.
Madam Secretary.
And again, for clarity, the second handout is the effective schools model.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
And this is the one that every campus will be used.
Every campus in the district is benefiting from all the stuff in that right-hand column.
Gotcha.
It ranges from leadership development to approach to instruction, and we did that in alignment with the ESF, or the Effective Schools Framework, before it was even required of us.
And this will be August of 26. That just starts.
Those things are happening right now.
Dr. Davis.
Yeah, I just wanted to share, just want to temper the expectations just a tad bit until, as it relates to the closure, we are hopeful, as I stated recently, TEA will be following up soon, I was told. They are rethinking if we have the possibility to now close, right? Initially, it was because we didn't have A or B campuses to disperse those children to. From what I was told, that's a consideration, but it has not been I have not been given a definitive answer on that yet. So I just want to be clear that that still potentially may not be an opportunity. So.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Dr. Osborne. Oh, I'm sorry, Madam Secretary.
And so when we submit our turnaround plan, you said by
November 14th, yes, ma'am.
It also has to be approved by the commissioner.
That's correct, and I'll go through the timeline in my next segment. The last thing that I would share about the approach to reassign or closure, specifically as it relates to middle schools, we have over 3,000 empty seats in middle schools. That's how far below capacity we are at our middle schools. So in our initial presentation of optimization, our goal was to have fewer empty seats. Also through optimization, the point was to have fewer vacancies. Through the town halls, I shared that we had about 138 vacancies in elementary and middle school. That's why if it is presented as an option to continue to pursue closure with that robust plan and tracking where they go to, it might still behoove us to reduce those empty seats and those vacancies through a closure of campuses. In your packet, you have 3 pages that talk about the method of restructure. They say Part 3, and they also have red writing at the top of each of them. Different than the school improvement plan where we have to develop it completely on our own, most of the actions for the methods of restructure are already provided for us by TEA. TEA has shared, here are the things that should happen if you reassign and close a school. Here are the things that should happen if you go through the ACE process. Here are the things that should happen if you do 1882. So the last three templates, or the last 3 pages, are about the 3 school actions: reassign, a district-managed restart, and then if you flip a few more pages, you'll see the partner-managed restart plan. So just as a reminder, that is the exemplar sample that was provided to us through TEA. The next thing I'm going to go through and wrap it up, and I think this will pretty much put everything into context for you, is the timeline of execution. Let me catch up with flipping my own pages over here. Okay, so rolling the clock back a little bit, on August 15th, we received public ratings. Of course, we got those 3 unacceptable at 2 campuses and 2 unacceptable at 1 campus. On September 3rd, we received the official notification letter from Commissioner Morath, and I believe it was actually from the Deputy Commissioner, but outlining the order to do the turnaround plans. Before we received that letter, we already had items in place to get going. And that's why you see right away on the week of September 8th, in fact, we had Region 12 already here. We were prepared. They provided us the template in that initial meeting with the principals, the principal supervisors, our executives in learning services, all met with Region 12 to start looking at that template that you're taking a look at tonight. Another thing that happened in early September was the completion of the school improvement modules. Any district professional or campus professional leader that is engaged in this process has to do the training. My campuses, our campuses and my staff have completed the school improvement orientations and received certificates, and we did that right away. The other thing that has to happen, and I've spoken to it a little bit, is the current reality versus the future vision. Well, we don't get to choose and make that up ourselves. They actually come out and do a diagnostic. We had our diagnostics completed in that first week for the one campus that needed a diagnostic, and that was actually Eastern Hills. Looking at that second bullet there of the week of the 15th, 22nd, and 29th, those are all encompassing because we're on the bike. We're rowing. From the 15th, we started our technical assistance meetings with TEA regarding the TAP, regarding the ACE program. We've had meetings specifically about 1882. The professionals in here have had a chance to ask questions about all of those processes. And then we actually started workshopping, that's what you see in red, the TAP plan development. Our campus leaders, and I'm so proud of them because they're putting in the extra hours to do this work. Their deans, their assistant principals are coming with them. We meet here in the boardroom or in the learning services training room, and we are writing the plans together. And essentially, they're getting the first draft from nothing. We've got some guidelines, but they're doing the work on Wednesdays and Mondays in what we would consider to be a writing workshop. And that workshop is from 4 to 6:30 after they've already done their day at the middle school. So I really want to say my appreciation to them and my teams that have been coming in to support that process. We'll continue that through the end of September. The last thing you see on that page is actually tomorrow. At all of our campuses that have a D or an F for multiple years, we are hosting our mid-cycle data review for those campuses. It will look at the first 2 district assessments. They'll review how kids did in reading and math by learning standard, by teacher, by subpopulation. How does that compare to historical data, and what's the plan and way forward? That information will then get integrated into their respective plans. Next slide takes us to, yes, sir.
I just have one question. Is that district assessment the MAPS assessment, or is it a district prepared assessment?
These are assessments that are district prepared, aligned with the curriculum.
Thank you.
And we've had 2 so far. That's what they'll be presenting on tomorrow, data for the first 2. So going into October, that's when we really start to shift the lift from the campus development to our district level leaders, refining the final versions that will come to the board. Again, I've mentioned the needs assessment with regard to resources that we believe we need for turnaround. I can tell you that one of the things that will be on the list from Learning Services is incentive stipends. We would do that in the future, but right now the people are doing the work and the turnaround is absolutely necessary, so we know that'll be one of the things, among others that we hope that we can be funded for so we can move forward with the plan and improvement of our schools. Moving on to week of October 20, I didn't skip a week, that's October break. I'm sure everybody will still be working on their plans. We will be as well. On the 21st, CSG will be here at the board presenting the feedback and final recommendations. I would put a star by this date. This will help us build part 3 of our turnaround plans. We're building part 1, which is just that general information, current reality versus future. We're building part 2, which is school improvement. Part 3 is, well, what big thing, that infrastructure change, will we do at our 3 middle schools? You also see in that week, we'll do our second set of data reviews with our quarterly reporting. We'll start to integrate the official town hall feedback into our plan as well. That is required to be included. That's the 3rd bullet under the week of October 20th. And then in the last week of October, week of the 27th, that's when the board will make decisions about optimization. Optimization as it impacts our turnaround plans is scenario 6, 7, and 8. Yes, sir?
I want to make sure on that October 27th date that this body will have all the information related to turnaround plans, TEA requirements, et cetera, so we can make a well-informed decision.
Yes, sir. We will continue to bring information to the board as we move forward.
And the community input, which you're tracking that already, correct?
Yes, sir. There will be 2 forms of community input. There is the input, so look at October 20th, the 3rd bullet. That will be input from town halls. And then after the board's decision, we have to adjust our plan, put that part 3 in, and then we do community input again. So there's 2 community input phases, before the plan's developed and then after the decision and that final piece of the plan. Yes, sir. So that takes us down to that big red line, October 28th, when those decisions get made. Then where you see on the very, very bottom bullet, final stakeholder feedback, that's the input after decisions. We'll work with communications to do surveying again, because at that point, we would have decided at Eastern Hills, we're doing school improvement plus whatever school action, whether that be reassigned, district-run partnership, or district-run restart or partner-run restart. So we will put that plan out to the community via survey feedback. That's required in this process. Even though we've gotten feedback before, we also have to get feedback after. That also requires us to update our websites and put the most updated information out. All of that will happen after the board meeting and board decisions on October 28th. 2 more slides if you just hang with me. Takes us into November. Once we draft our final plan, and it will look similar to what you have in your template. Of course, it will be KISD branded. Maybe it looks a little bit different, but it will absolutely be this structure. We will bring that final plan back to the board for approval. The plan has to be independently approved for each of the campuses. And of course, we may make different decisions for those 3 schools. So it will be 3 different turnaround plans for those schools. Then in the middle there, you see our deadline, which is swiftly around the corner, that we submit that plan to TEA. All of our improvement plans, all our turnaround plans will be one submission this year in a Qualtrics survey. So we'll get together as a district. Our campuses that do have a targeted improvement plan get submitted on that same day in that same framework. Other things that are important for the board to know, when we make decisions through optimization that get included in the turnaround plan, that's really the beginning. Once we decide if we're going to choose ACE, we actually have to apply for the grant. Once we decide we want to do a partner-run restart, if we decide either one of those things, we have to take those steps. I want you to put a star by number 3, under tentative actions, number 2, 3, and 4. 2, 3, and 4, because they're going to require board action again. If we move forward with an 1882 partnership, we would be authorizing our school district to be a charter authorizer. That would require a board policy update. I've already talked with Mr. Mike Harper about how we would approach that process. We would have to submit a letter of intent to become a charter authorizer, and then we would have to take board action to do the call for quality schools, the different charter entities that might come in and then start to operate any of those campuses we selected to be 1882. So fast forward into the spring, we submit our TAP plan in November. We believe our TAPs we'll get our initial notification circled January 16th, 2026. So we submitted November 14th. We should hear back from TEA by mid-January. If we apply for the ACE LASSO grant, on that line at the end, it says by February, March. They told us it would be February 1st that we would hear back about the ACE grant. If for whatever reason we submitted a plan and it's not approved, that's what you see in bullet 4. We would have to resubmit a plan, and if we're not going to need to do that, but March 17th is the date for the people that will need to do that. It can't be us. Can't be us. On this page, put a star by 1882 partnership, please. There's an important component of the process. So in the fall, if we move forward with an 1882 partnership, that is different from the application for benefits. So we could say we want charter organization X to take over school Y. That does not automatically assure us that they will pause our accountability or give us the increased funding. We have to do the application for benefits. So please circle March 31st. So on this slide previously, that's why I said boom, 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 boom. Those things have to happen through the end of the semester to position us after approval to apply for benefits should that need to be the case. And then the last bullet doesn't apply to us because our plan is not going to get rejected, and we won't hear back from the TEA on that day because it'll already be done. And with that, any questions, ladies and gentlemen?
Mr. Rainwater.
Do you know very much about the funding that we're going to get possibly through the grants? Has the agency been?
Yes, sir.
Established a pattern,
Let me
or-
speak to 1882 partnerships first. The funding that's been shared with us is about $1,300 per student, but of course, we would be paying the charter a portion of that to run the school. So the final fiscal note after paying the charter to run the school is unknown. For ACE, the grant program is 3 years, and it would be $200,000 in the first year and then $500,000 in the next 2 years, in the following 2 years. So about 1.1, 1.2.
And we pick the charter school if we choose to do that?
So we have a process and rubric that we would have to follow. We do that call for quality schools, which is similar to an RFP that we would do with other entities when we're opening the floor for a facilities person or a roofer, those things. We just call it a call for quality schools. The board would have to conduct an interview process and do a rubric-based selection. But I will say what we know at this point is the group of charter school organizations that are eligible is very small. Yes, sir.
And our financial responsibility.
The financial responsibility gets negotiated through the contract process. So you interview, you utilize the rubric to select, and then you go through the process that I've defined: who pays for facilities, who pays for grounds, who pays for maintenance, who pays for, and then that's how you define the total cost on either side at the end of the day. Yes, sir.
Any other questions from trustees? Mr. Gilchrist?
So when if we entered into that contract for the 1882, that's a 1-year contract or 2 years?
Great question. It is a 2-year pause on accountability, and it is a 3-year contract. What we also know, your mind looks like it's going there, but I don't want to pretend to be reading it, is if we get scores back that indicate those schools are already performing well, we do not have a back out option. So once you commit in 1882, as well as ACE, once you're in, you're in. So we will have secured our contract and initiated simple things like hiring and the HR processes, because that usually happens mid-spring, where we would actually get our ratings July, ideally August 15th, that's the date, but we would be starting the next school year with that charter partner and already have that 4th letter grade, whether it's D, F, A, B, or C.
Mr. Rainwater?
Dr. Osborne, when we had the community focus groups, we talked about the financial aspect of each of these possible changes. Are we going to inculcate that into some presentations for ourselves and the communities going forward?
Yes, sir. Through the board one-on-ones that are upcoming with CSG, there'll be more discussion on the financial aspects, in addition to that feedback from the town halls. We can't give the final detail on financial aspects without the contract for the 1882. We can't give the final details on the ACE without securing the grant and getting that exact grant funding number. So we know our ballparks and we know the road we'd be walking down, but to be able to give an accurate fiscal note, we're not in position. Yes, sir.
Mr. Gilchrist?
Okay, we would be giving up complete control of those schools under 1882.
Yes, sir, that is correct. The charter, we would authorize the charter to be in charge of all daily operations, from the calendar the campus decides, who remains as staff, who stays there as principal, everything that the district currently decides about the school, we would cede to the charter organization to begin a process of ideally improving that campus and having that 2-year pause to do it.
Any other questions from trustees? Dr. Osborne and Dr. Davis, this may be for you, but I do think it's important that we get a clear definition of an 1882 campus. So as we go through this process, when I say definition, so I know you just discussed how we see control, but what does that look like for our families, our kids? Like, you know, you just think, will they show up at that campus and it looks just like the campus looks today, or will it look different? And I think we owe that to this community, that they get a clear understanding of what that looks like.
Yes, sir.
I just think that's only fair. I've heard different things of it means this goes away, it means this goes away. It's important that they understand, you know, exactly what that is. I just want to make sure I emphasize that, because we owe them that explanation, and I want them to get that sooner than later as we go through this process.
Yes,
as
sir.
well as the board. I mean, I want a clear understanding of what it means as well. Is there no band there anymore? Is there no choir? I mean, what does all that mean? And I just think that's important.
It definitely depends on the charter, excuse me, the charter entity that we go with or the board appoints to do that work. We do know of some and have visited some, so I think Dr. Davis and I probably just need to confer about what we need to present about what we do know.
Thank you. Mr. Mintz.
I have a quick budget question. So just, I think, so we don't know what the exact numbers are going to be. And obviously, that's contract dependent and who does what. But it's not a net add of the cost of another school, right? So if we cede to a charter organization, whether it's the salaries or what have you, all of that is, there's offsets involved. So it's not a net addition of an additional cost to run a school. So if we say we want them to take care of the HR piece of it and the hiring and the paying of employees, that would all be rolled into the price. So it's not a net additional entire school, correct?
It's not an entire school, no, sir.
Okay. There's just, I mean, it could be as much as an entire school, but we would get an offset of an entire school, or it could be some fraction thereof where we're just paying for the management layer, essentially, but I mean, there's all kinds of combinations and permutations of what that looks like.
I think that it's safe to say that it is unknown whether it will be 80% of what it costs us now or 105% of what it costs us now. That is determined through the contract process.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Secretary.
So with the TEA grant model, the ACE model, is there a level of certainty that we will be approved for that? Or is there question marks, maybe not? Or we tweak it until we get a yes? Or how does that work?
The grant application process opens on October 1st. What we will know more through the technical assistance webinars. So LASSO, the grant itself, has done the initial webinar, which our teams participated in, and they just talk about the different grant opportunities. The actual webinar for ACE and its requirements and the rubric for selection would be in that independent webinar in October. So that's information we'd be able to bring back. Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions from trustees? Dr. Osborne, thank you. Really, really good presentation. I appreciate your attention to detail and bringing that information for the community. Thank you.
Clear as kind.
Yep. We'll now move back up on the agenda. We're going to go to item number 5, and these are our action items for consideration. We've got 5A, which is consideration of cooperative agreement with Advent Health for school behavioral health centers for the 2025-2026 school year. Welcome, Dr. Jolinet Creighton.
Good evening. Since our initial partnership in 2022, we have annually and automatically renewed the cooperative agreement between Killeen ISD and Advent Health for school behavioral health centers at 5 campuses. Tonight, we are bringing this forward because we changed a location of services from one elementary school to support Roy J. Smith Middle School for this year. So we have some funding information. We previously paid for this with ESSER funds. After ESSER funds ended, it moved to the general fund, and we have funds already budgeted to continue to support this program after conversations with Carrie Simpson. So we have about 1.2 million set aside for school behavioral health to continue in Killeen ISD for 25 and for 26. Since our 25 year has not completed from a financial perspective, we spent about $758,340 to date, and that cost is because we spend $17,235 per campus per month for the school behavioral health representative from Advent Health to provide support to students and families at these 5 locations. The locations are Gateway Middle School and High School, and we've served 244 students and families last year. Previously, we were at Hay Branch Elementary where we served 192 students and families, but that is being moved to Roy J. Smith for this year. At Killeen Elementary, we served 263 students and families, and at Palo Alto, we served 248 students and families for a total of 947 students and families in the 24-25 school year. So the only reason we're bringing this forward is because we changed the location so that we could support Roy J. Smith.
Questions from trustees? This is an action item. Madam Secretary.
Mr. President, I move to approve the cooperative agreement between Killeen Independent School District and Advent Health Behavioral Health Services as presented.
We have a motion by Secretary Adams. We have a second by Trustee Mintz. Any further discussion by trustees? There being none, all those in favor, show of hands. We have 6 in favor, none in opposition, 1 absent and not participating, and Vice President Susan Jones. Thank you, Dr. Creighton.
Thank you.
We'll now go to 5B, which is consideration of commercial real estate brokerage service rank order. Welcome, Mr. Rich.
Thank you, sir. On October 10th, we issued a request for qualifications for real estate broker services, thinking primarily about our existing 3 decommissioned facilities, but then we also know that with the admin consolidation, we'll likely have more decommissioned facilities coming online. We received proposals on September 11th from 8 qualified brokers. A team of district staff reviewed and ranked those proposals based on the criteria shown there on the attached rank order. Staff recommends selecting both Jim Wright Company and Linneman Realty to serve as real estate brokers for these facilities. If approved, we will negotiate fees and execute agreements and assign properties to the brokers so that we can begin the advertisement and bidding process. Don't yet have a firm timeline on exactly how that's going to go. We want to get brokers on board, but my goal is to have some bids for us to review prior to Christmas break for these facilities. So the administrative recommendation is to approve the rank order and delegate authority to the superintendent to negotiate final terms and execute agreements.
Questions from trustees? This is an action item. Mr. Mintz.
Mr. President, I move to approve the proposed rank order of the real estate brokers as presented and delegate authority to the interim superintendent or his designee to negotiate final terms and execute agreements with the selected brokers, and further delegate authority to administration to assign properties to the selected brokers as needed to take related actions.
We have a motion by Mr. Mintz. We have a second by Mr. Gilchrist. Any further discussion by trustees? There being none, all those in favor, show of hands. We have 6 in favor, none in opposition, 1 absent and not participating, and Vice President Susan Jones. Thank you, Mr. Rich. We'll now move to 5C, which is a consideration of a resolution to nominate candidates for the Board of Directors of the Tax Appraisal District of Bell County for 2026. Welcome, Ms. Vaden.
Thank you and good evening. As part of the 88th legislative session, the process for selecting Board of Directors for tax appraisal districts was changed. It went from an appointment to an election. And so each of the taxing entities is first asked to present individuals to be put on a ballot for election. And then by the end of November, we will be back and actually have the election from all of those entities, from the names that are on the ballot. So with that, I would just ask for you to present your name or recommend a name to be placed on the ballot for the board.
Questions from trustees? Ms. Vaden, I know this is the new process.
Yes,
Our current rep is Vice President Jones,
correct.
who is not, she is not up on this term
Her
here,
term expires after 2026.
after 2026. So this is our opportunity to put forward another name, correct?
Yes,
Just want to make sure
correct.
everybody's tracking.
Correct.
Okay. Trustees, I think I know where I want to go. I just want to confirm that, Mr. Mintz, you've expressed a desire, correct?
Yes, I have expressed an desire to be placed on the ballot for this position. I would appreciate the board's support.
I just wanted, before I put them out there, I want to make sure that I was pretty confident in that, so it's an action item. Madam Pito.
I'm sorry. I move that we approve to put Oliver Mintz onto the ballot for the tax district.
let's do this. Let's go to that administrative recommendation and then,
Is that what-
and insert Mr. Mentz's name.
Yes, Lord.
I just want to keep us official.
Where is it? 33, thank you. Sure. All right. I move to approve the proposed resolution and nomination of the following candidates for the Board of Directors for the Tax Appraisal District of Bell County for 2026. Oliver Mentz.
We have a motion by Madam Capito. We have a second by Trustee Gilchrist. Any further discussion by trustees? There being none, all those in favor, show of hands. We have 6 in favor, none in opposition, 1 absent and not participating, and Vice President Jones. Thank you, Mr. Mentz, for your willingness to step up and take on this opportunity, and thank you, Ms. Vaden, for presenting the information. We'll now go to 5D, which is a consideration of a memorandum of understanding with Bell County Juvenile Justice Alternative Education Program, JJAEP. Welcome, Mr. Wells.
Good evening. President Williams, Dr. Davis, members of the board. We are here to bring the MOU with Bell County Juvenile Justice Alternative Education Program, or JJAEP. This is something that we have to bring forward every year to keep that relationship going. I will bring, the only changes that are in this MOU for this year, I will bring attention to page 7. This is a state funding change, and so previously, we only were responsible for funding if students were placed on a discretionary. We are now responsible for funding $370 per day per student for any of our students that attend JJAAP. That's the only change to the MOU.
Questions from trustees? Mr. Mentz?
So, Mr. Wells, how much does that change? What's the budget impact?
We won't know that specifically because it's dependent upon the students that are enrolled. Currently, we have 3 students that are enrolled. We're only charged per student that is in attendance for days of attendance. And so currently, we have 3 students that are enrolled. 3 that have been accepted. Only 1 is enrolled. We have not received our first invoice yet, so I don't really have an opportunity to tell you exactly what that's going to look like. But we are working with, since the students that are placed there are at risk, we can work through federal funding and to fund that.
And what's our max, what's the cap of students that we can send there?
The JJAAP program takes a total of 24, but they serve a number of districts across Bell County.
Right, so I saw the 24 in there, so I don't,
Yes.
that's.
We will
we're
never
not-
get to 24.
We're
no,
not
sir.
guaranteed X
No,
number
sir.
of seats or anything
No,
like
sir.
that? Okay, all right, thank you.
Any other questions from trustees? Madam Capito?
So you said that there's 3 that basically we've applied to put there. 1 is there. Where are these other 2 children?
They are enrolled at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Wells? This is an action item. Madam Secretary.
Mr. President, I move to approve the memorandum of understanding with Bell County Juvenile Justice Alternative Education Program for the 2025-2026 school years presented.
We have a motion by Secretary Adams. We have a second by Madam Capito. Any further discussion by trustees? There being none, all those in favor, show of hands. We have 6 in favor, none in opposition, 1 absent and not participating, and Vice President Susan Jones. Thank you, Mr. Wells. We'll now go to 6 information items for discussion. And A, discussion of system scorecard priority 1, student success. Welcome back, Dr. Terry Osborne.
Good evening again, President Williams, Board of Trustees, Dr. Davis. I'm going to be presenting an abridged version of the system scorecard. I promise I will not be up here as long as I was for turnaround plans. Another good thing, and probably bad for my team, is this is my last model lesson. The next time we present on this, they will be up here doing this and talking about their great work themselves. Look at them. So as you all know, when we launched the system scorecard, you approved 4 goals for priority 1. I will be reviewing 1.1 and 1.4. In 1.2 and 1.3, those are directly correlated to STAR assessment and achievement of our students, which we have talked through quite a bit in the last 6 meetings or so, so I'll just talk about our special programs. Okay, starting with 1.1A, building and sustaining a culture of strong and supportive relationships. Looking down at the bottom, our goal for 5 years from now is to be at 4.3 on our implementation survey, as well as our culture and climate survey. You are looking at data from the end of last year. So this is a summary report and all of the information I'll be providing today. This end-of-year survey for CKH is intended to be compared to the middle-of-year survey from CKH. What we have on the graph is 5 different areas. For family and students, that graph represents families' belief about their experience as well as the implementation of CKH at their respective campuses. On the far left, where you see teacher and leader, that graph represents implementation of the CKH Excel model. So the questions on those surveys are different. So they look different for family and students versus the teacher and leaders who are actually implementing the process. In the middle, you have a culture climate survey, and we talked about this a little bit before. People love their schools. So you can see that the 4.0 and 4.2 are representative of people's desire and relationship at their respective campuses. What I'll say about the scores, just comparing middle of year to end of year, we were doing better or the same in all of our categories except our family survey, where we saw that overall average drop from 3.8 to 3.4. What I'll also point out about the survey is if you look at family in red, it's a 2.3, and then student in red is also a 2.3. Which schools are those? Middle schools. So this is speaking to a challenge that we already know has bubbled up, and we see it in academics as well. So this is not an anomaly that we see there. So we recognize that it's indicative of what we need to address and have already started to address. When we look at our progress towards the goal, and that's what this conversation this evening is about, we would consider ourselves off track from our goal. While we did see improvement in all of those areas, we want to be a national showcase district with national showcase campuses. And that means we have to get to 4.3, and we're quite a bit off from that. I know your question will probably be, well, what are we doing? We are moving forward with extensive training. We have done in the last month all of our teachers that have not been CKH trained, and this year we also trained all of our administrators. We had previously trained our district leaders and our principals, but had not trained all of our administrative teams. So not everybody had really gone through the process of understanding CKH. So that's one method of improvement. The second thing that I would just want to point out and make sure that you know is participation is not where we want it to be. The student survey, for example, at the elementary level, it's about 20% of our student population. At the secondary level, it's about 10% of our student population. So we're addressing this data through participation and increased training. So taking a look at 1.1B, which is about high expectations and safe learning environments, that translates into attendance and discipline. On the left-hand side, you see 23-24 jumped up 1.1% in 24-25. We brought a whole line of people in here, and they are the people we can attribute that to. The work of the attendance officers going out to home visits, doing truancy cases, showing up in court, that all matters. In addition to that, your investment in RAWE, truancy tracking system, and the previous administrative services bringing that on made a significant difference in our ability to track interventions, putting attendance plans in place, making sure phone calls are happening, tracking ADA on a daily basis, tracking chronic absenteeism. All of that is available through the RAWE program, and that's we attribute that jump to. And then last but not least, the campus teams. There's been a concerted effort by Iris Felder and the previous teams working with attendance to make sure the attendance team at the campus has very clear and specific roles and responsibilities in order to support the process of improving kids being in campus every day. On the right-hand side, you see a different look at discipline. And I want to talk a little bit about this and before we move on. We heard some feedback in the last year about if we track discipline, will that incentivize people to suppress discipline data? One of the things that we were tracking in the previous year was referrals. We can track referrals, but what we really want to hone in on are the metrics that impact disproportionality and impact exclusion from instruction. And that is ISS, OSS, mandatory and discretionary placements in alternative school. So you have some data there, and we would consider this a new baseline data season that we're in. In addition to that, there's two reasons. There have been procedure changes in our last year. After the March 10th incident at Smith Middle School, we made a significant change to our procedures for placing students at DAEP. As a result of that procedure change, we saw the fourth quarter increase, and we're seeing this first quarter look very different than the first quarter of last year under different procedures. Another change that we're navigating is the 89th legislature and all of the things that have come through in September, as of September 1st, which you all had robust conversation about embedded in the Student Code of Conduct. So just taking a look at the data for data's sake, from one year to the next, we saw an 87 placement decrease in ISS. We saw a 97 placement increase in OSS, a 251 placement increase for discretionary DAEP, and a 423 student decrease in mandatory placements at DAEP. We believe that this season we're in now will be our new baseline data. It's difficult to weigh apples to oranges, and we definitely don't want to suppress data by the monitoring of office referrals. So just wanted to give that clarity on 1.1B. Yes, sir.
Okay, the DAEP numbers and, just based on the numbers that we're seeing right now, if we just took what this first quarter and baselined it, it's kind of like this is what it looks like it's going to be the rest of the year, them numbers are going to be off the charts.
So I had a conversation this morning with our administrative assistant in Student Support Services Discipline. We were up a little over 100 hearings in this first we're going into 7 weeks of school. About 50% of those are related to middle school fights. So our procedure change in fighting has had a significant impact on the placements at DAEP. So as we move forward with discussing discipline data, we know that we need to drill down on two things: what the placement is for and who is being placed.
And I want to ask that somebody take a look at this. I've never heard of a DAEP placement that was appealed that was granted any kind of relief. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm just saying that I've never heard of a child who got in DAEP placement for whatever reason, and their numbers was whatever, and somebody appealed that, and it got changed to benefit that student. And I'm not saying that it's wrong. I'm saying you can't tell me that we get it right 100% of the time, all the time.
That's correct. And what we have now is a two-tier process in which we utilize the campus team, specifically the campus principal, to conduct the campus level conference. And that campus principal may recommend moving forward with 60 days. And if everything is in place and aligned, process is run well, the district hearing officer is probably upholding that 60 days. But at the district hearing officer level, it is possible for the placement to be decreased. And in the data that we've taken a look at, I believe it was 20% of the placements were decreased. 25% of the placements were decreased at the district hearing level office, at the district level hearing place.
Who's got that information? You, Mr.
We do,
Williams?
yes, sir.
Okay, I'll get with you offline.
So it's about 1 in 4 that sees a decrease at district level hearing.
Madam Capito.
I want to say this very carefully, but I don't want us to evaluate data to not do placements if behavior is warranted, because we need to be supporting campuses, and if children are misbehaving, if that is the consequence, that is the consequence. I just want us to be cautious of how we present things so that principals and people are not thinking, oh, well, we don't want to have a high number of DAEP placements. What we want is safe campuses. We want accountability to our students, our parents, and our staff, and do it appropriately. So I don't want, in my opinion, I just don't want us focusing on the numbers. I also think the numbers went down some because of the e-cigarettes. When we put that plan in place, that also dropped some of those things. So there are too many factors of why they go up or why they go down. But the focus has to be, are they appropriate placements, and are we keeping our campuses safe, and are kids being held accountable when it's necessary, versus how many here or how many there, or what this reasoning. Law changes, policy changes, some things are going to affect it, and we can't control that.
Right.
It just is what it is. It's like the e-cigarette and nicotine.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
so I just want that to be said, because I don't want kids not going because people think that their numbers at their campus are too high. If the kids are not behaving at that campus, then I'm sorry, there's the consequences of your actions.
Any other questions from trustees? It's back to you, Dr. Osborne.
Yes, sir, thank you. Okay, 1.1C takes a look at fine arts, athletics, and scholastic events. We have previously explored monitoring, tracking, improving, increasing the number of participants in clubs and organizations. We, through this last year, had several struggles with how exactly we would capture that data. We did not have a defined data point. In this next year, we will actually discontinue tracking, or the approach to tracking, clubs and organizations at the district scorecard level. In addition to, for 2 reasons, not just because of the processes and systems associated with it. All of our campuses have clubs and organizations, but also out of the 89th legislature, there are some pretty strict rules about clubs and organizations that we need to find our footing on before we begin to make it a metric of how we approach improving experiences and connections for students. So just wanted to provide that caveat first. Now I'll go on to athletics. In 23-24, that gray bar, 28%, you see it jumped up to 31%. That tracked throughout the year. Now we're taking a look at 32% currently. So that is September data. We do expect that to continue to go up. I said that exact same thing last year, and it did happen. And that's because of late fall sports. People play basketball and they make the team and they're not in athletics. People come on and track, baseball, softball, soccer, those are spring sports. So we expect to see those go up as well. When it comes to fine arts, this time last year I was talking about the robust plan put together by the fine arts departments of coordinators and directors, reaching out to counselors, working with deans, talking about student schedules, and getting kids into fine arts classes. And I would give some credit here. You see a 25% jump, and that's because of the work of the campuses and the district level to make things work for kids in their schedule so they can participate in those co-curricular activities. You see there as well on the far right, it's slightly lower, that 60%, but that is as of right now. We do always expect those second semester students joining fine arts programming. One of the things that we're navigating currently is middle school. And middle school is a common through line. If students are not performing well academically, they do have fewer opportunities for electives, and that's the impact you see right now. Of course, we always navigate the seniors in the fall, want that free period, but then when their season rolls around, they hop in so they can be a part of UIL. So we expect that number to go up. We know that middle school needs to be addressed.
Mr. Mims.
If we go back a slide to the DAEP, I've just been thinking about this. Are those metrics, the placements, the ISS, OSS, discretionary and mandatory placements, are those on a campus principal's annual evaluation?
Placements for OSS and ISS do not show up on the evaluation explicitly. What does show up on the evaluation is domain 3, which would be campus culture. And if your placements are high, your culture is low. So that's where it would integrate into the evaluation process for a principal.
Shouldn't it be the other way around? The culture leads to the placement. The placement doesn't drive the culture. That seems backwards to me.
Well, I just stated it in that direction, but they're inherently the same. I'm agreeing with you, sir, that culture does impact placement. So if culture is low, placement is high, which is the same thing as placement is high, culture is low.
I don't know that I necessarily agree with that, but I guess my point is, I don't want to incentivize what we don't want, right? We don't want to put kids in DAEP or not put kids in DAEP we don't want to not put a kid in DAEP if it's going to impact a culture metric. The good or bad culture on the campus is what ends up, whether kids end up committing those behaviors. I don't want to get too deep in the weeds on this. I'm just concerned that if we put it on a principal's evaluation, we end up incentivizing behavior that we don't want. And I'll just kind of leave it at that.
It does look, it's not the same metric. So I just want to make sure I'm clear. OSS and ISS placements is not on a principal's evaluation. Those areas are culture related. And culture is on the principal evaluation.
But they bake into another metric.
There's an item specifically about student behavior and routines.
Okay, I got it. Thank you.
Any other questions? Dr. Osborne, back to you.
Thank you. I think I did that one. Okay, so item 1.1D, we're looking at secondary students enrolled in advanced academic courses. The goal was 57% 5 years from now, and advanced placements courses, students earning an advanced placement score of 3 or higher, and our goal would be 51%. So if you look at the 4 sets of graphs, we're going to take a look first at the first 3 sets. Those are students enrolled in advanced academic courses, and we measure that through honors, dual credit, and AP enrollment. So just the first 3 sets impacts that 57%. When you take a look at 23-24, which is the blue column, to 24-25, which is end of last year, we did see a 4% increase in the number of students enrolled in honors courses. You see a slight decrease as of right now, and similar to athletics, fine arts, students join programs throughout the year, so we do expect that to increase. You're probably wondering what happened with the blue bar 36% and that blue bar 20%. I'm going to address that as well. Back in 23-24, we captured data based on the number of courses Terry was in, not Terry as one unique student. So if I was in 5 dual credit courses, I counted 5 times instead of one unique student. We cleaned that up in 24-25. So there's not this drastic drop. It's a refining of our approach to measuring that data and really deciding we want to have more students engaged in advanced academics. It's fine if one student engages in more classes, but we're seeking to impact more kids. So let's measure it that way. So in 24-25, we were at 13% of our secondary students enrolled in dual credit. Where we stand right now is about 13% as well. What you should know about dual credit is that is a number that will fluctuate. Some kids take dual credit in the fall and don't take it in the spring. Some take it in the spring, don't take it in the fall. So we expect that number to increase, but how it increases based on enrollment or withdrawals, kids deciding to leave advanced academics programs will impact that number. Same thing with AP enrollment. We went from total number of enrollments to unique students. That's what dropped us from, quote, end quote, dropped from 20% to 13%. You can see we are on the increase from where we were last year in the red bar to where we are in our enrollments as of right now in September at about 17% of our secondary students. What we do have to accomplish is combining all of those unique students into a total measure, because our actual goal is 57% of all secondary students, but right now we're looking at data at honors, dual credit, and AP separately. That could be one student in all of the different areas, or that could be separate students. So we needed to clean up how we approach the refine the unique student counts in those areas, and then we'll begin to aggregate it to see where we are in relation to 57% as a goal. Okay, so we're going to look at students scoring 3 or higher on the AP exams. Great jump there. This time last year, we were talking about kids getting in the class and not taking the test, or going to take the test and not really being committed. The difference that you see from 23-24 to 24-25 is very detailed discussion about the commitment to AP programming. That not only happened from the counselor to student level, our advanced academics team to our teacher level, that really happened as well with the data conversations in our advanced placement PLCs. We expect that to continue to rise because we've implemented AP Classroom at a more detailed level. It's required to use and enhance our skills for teaching AP, as well as making sure kids are exposed to AP Classroom and more prepared for content and therefore the exam. In addition to that, we expect that number to continue to go up because we want to have students taking PSAT earlier than they ever have. So we recognize AP potential as a result of that test. So we want to continue to see that go up. So for our 2 goals here, we have a next step for the first portion, and that's putting all the unique students together and dividing by all secondary students to see what that total number is. And then we're on track by our belief to getting to that 51% based on our changes with AP programming. Okay, 1.1E. This CTE data is mined in-house through our dashboard. We also have to submit to our CTE Perkins grant, so we're monitoring who we have as completers, in addition to receiving that validated data when we get the official taper reports. What you see here in 21-22, 22-23 is kind of a plateau at 23%. And then you do see a drop. I want to highlight that the drop there was the change in the college, career, and military readiness requirements. So there's a phase-in happening with CCMR, and there was a slight drop in that first phase. We are fully positioned related to how that will continue to go on, and that's where you see the projected increase of the 29%. I do want to make sure that I stamp that that is not official data. That's based on our CCMR dashboard and data mining that we do internally. That official data will be coming out ideally in December or early spring, but that's where we see ourselves going. So we had the slight dip in response to what was happening with the changes in rules, and then we're on the way up based on our response to doing so and getting kids in those courses. Okay. As I mentioned, I will not go through 1.2 and 1.3. I will stop to make sure I answer any questions if needed related to circle, map, or star.
Questions?
All right. Same thing with 1.3, and this is circle, map, or star math. For the good of the group, because people always wonder, 6th, 7th, and 8th, we're talking middle school again. I always like to qualify that those students were in 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade during the pandemic. 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade. And math is not like reading. You actually have to be taught the concepts in order for them to build on one another. So our middle school group of students don't have those foundational, conceptual, and abstract concepts of math, and you see that bubble moving through in contrast to how elementary looks, and they're getting that foundational learning.
Are we tracking that for they make their way into high school?
Yes, sir, we are.
Okay.
You'll also, I'm sure you remember as well, when we came back, I think it was January or February, we had some deep discussions about Carnegie and the data we saw with Carnegie Math as our curriculum and our students not being successful with it, and the decision to move to a different curriculum because that curriculum did not meet the learning gaps of our middle school math students. So I want to assure you we anticipate that going up, and we've seen our preliminary data with iReady Math, and it is much stronger than that. Okay, last section, 1.4A, and it is about graduating students in 4 years, and that's really important to stamp there as well, and then making sure that our students meet the college, career, and military readiness standard. If you take a look at the two graphs that we have on the far left side, we have 22 graduates and then the 23 graduates. Those are official through our taper reports. If you want to make a note on your slide there, I would just remind you that for accountability, we can be rated based on 4-year graduates, 5-year graduates, or 6-year. So that's why we brought Graduation Alliance, because there's that group of students that can still positively impact our accountability rating, and that's why we don't have a bar there for 24, 25, because we could be rated on either one of those cohorts. All right, last section on the right-hand side here, we're taking a look at kids that earned college, career, and military readiness, and that is through all indicators. You're looking at confirmed taper data in that red column, 87, a slight increase of 88 going into the end of last year. What you see in the purple is current CCMR status based on our internal tracking for our current seniors. So it's not just a nosedive, it's September, and current seniors are still earning CCMR. Last slide is 1.4B, and this is a discussion of dual credit outcomes, and specifically dual credit courses. We know kids can get CCMR credit through dual credit. However, within our district, we put a lot of investment into dual credit programming. That's why dual credit is its standalone system scorecard measure. We have students in TBI, Texas Biosciences Institute. We have students that are in early college, high school to the tune of 1,000 students. And then we have students earning dual credit at all of our high schools inside of the STEM program and just in independent courses. So this is an area we want to consistently measure because it's important to what we're offering for our kids, and also because it costs us money and we want to be a steward of that process. What you're looking at on the far left side is 23-24, a slight drop in 24-25 in the red, and then what you see in green is what we anticipate to be a trajectory upward, because that is kids that have earned CMR through dual credit as of today. So that means it should go up. We'll get kids that earn credit at the end of this semester, and then we'll have kids that earn credit at the end of next semester. So we are on the trajectory up, and when we present again, we do intend for that to be higher. As you can see with the actual goal on the right-hand side, our goal is 30%. That's about where the state average is. We have a ways to go, but we want to be intentional and methodical with how we approach dual credit, because it's not free. And if students go into dual credit ill-prepared, it costs us and they earn nothing other than damage to their transcript. So while we do have that 30% goal out there, we're not chasing it down just by bringing kids into dual credit in droves. That would be dangerous for them, and that's what we care about. On the right-hand side, you see CCMR credit earned through associate's degrees. That is finalized and complete data. In the blue column, that 7% equates 176 students that earned associate's degrees in Killeen ISD. And then the next year, it's still 7%, but there were more kids in the cohort. That is actually 195 students that got an associate's degree at the close of last year. So we're proud of that increase. Told you I wouldn't be here as long. And it's my last time, team. Hey.
You pulled an Adam Rich tonight.
I did.
Usually Adam would do that.
Well, you don't have to vote on anything, so.
Any questions from trustees? All right, thank you, Dr. Osborne. We appreciate you. Yes. Okay, we're now going to, everybody starts to move around out there now. They know what time it is. All right, we're going to I apologize, no. Nope, okay, we're going to go to 6C, discussion of future board meeting agendas and trustee remarks. Dr. Davis, we'll start with you.
All right. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Just a reminder that you will return tomorrow, please. And so it's not much on tomorrow, so we won't spend a lot of time there. Hopefully you had an opportunity to look at the upcoming on October 7th. Please let us know if you have any questions or concerns.
Questions, comments on future agendas? There's a lot of meetings coming up.
Yep.
Madam Capito, you got
I would just like to know, Scott, if there is any progress or where we are on the initiatives that we were evaluating to see what the ROI was on them, and are we making any progress on that?
We're still taking a look at that. That's going to be part of the priority 3 when we get to it later this fall as part of the priority 3. But we are still looking at it. I'll be honest, we haven't gotten very far with all the transition. We've got a lot of data, but the analysis of that data is incomplete.
anything else, Madam Capito? Mr. Moons?
Nothing. Thank you, Mr. President.
Madam Secretary?
Thank you.
Trustee Gilchrist? Trustee Rainwater? I'm good as well. Dr. Davis, anything? I'm good. All right, now let's move on to 7, which are going to be our closed sessions. The board will now convene in closed session for agenda item 7A pursuant to sections 551.071 and 551.0821 for attorney consultation regarding pending or contemplated litigation and personally identifiable student information, including but not limited to the discussion of proposed settlement agreements concerning Texas Education Agency docket number 280-SE-0525 and Texas Education Agency docket number 075-DM-0425, and agenda item 7D, attorney consultation pertaining to legislative update from the 89th Texas Legislative Session as allowed by Texas Government Code 551.071. Just a reminder, we're not taking up Agenda Item 7B or Agenda Item 7C. No voting will take place in closed session. Any action the board wishes to take as a result of discussions in closed session will take place after the board reconvenes in the open meeting. The time is now 8:33 p.m., and we are in closed session, and we are going to go to the superintendent's conference room, if everybody's okay with that, after a 5-minute recess to get a drink of water. Hold on, yeah, after we come back out. Yep. All right, the time is now 11:02 p.m., and we're reconvening from closed session. No action or voting took place in closed session. We'll now move to agenda item number 8, which is consideration and take possible action on a proposed settlement agreements to resolve special education matters involving Texas Education Agency docket number 280-SC-0525 and Texas Education Agency docket number 075-DM-0425, including possible delegation of authority to the interim superintendent to execute the final settlement agreement on behalf of the district. This is an action item. Mr. Mintz.
Mr. President, I move to approve the proposed settlement agreements for the Texas Education Agency docket number 280-SE-0525 and Texas Education Agency docket number 075-DM-0425, and authorize the interim superintendent to execute all necessary documents on behalf of the district.
We have a motion by Mr. Mintz. We have a second by Madam Capito. Any further discussion by trustees? There being none, all those in favor, show of hands. We have 6 in favor, none in opposition, 1 absent and not participating, and Vice President Jones passes by 6-0, 1 vote. We'll now move to agenda item number 9. Madam Capito.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
We have a motion by Madam Capito. We have a second by Secretary Adams. All those in favor, show of hands. We have 6 in favor, none in opposition, 1 absent and not participating. We are adjourned at 11:04 p.m. on Tuesday, September 23rd, 2025. Thank you.